playing the blues and driving my shoes when I moved to New York. Well, I heard there was all kind of music there, and I thought it was every sort. But the sound that I was gonna make, it would no approval of me. So I walked around Manhattan town just staring at my feet. Well, I found some boys who couldn't make the noise, and I thought it might have made us rich. They said, hang on, play this stuff because the two styles didn't mix. But in a lonely crowd, I went back downtown, got home up to the bone. And on the way I saw behind every tree was someone with a saxophone. And I heard a line, I heard a line, got to get out of New York. I heard a line, well, no one was surprised, got to get out of New York. There's two sides to everything, and a big apple ain't no dip. They got bebop armies against the forces of swing, and it all seemed kind of stiff. Seemed like anyone unpacked the guitar, most anyone you meet. But they only wanted to play Night in Tunisia or Green Dolphin Street. So I worked at Slugs just to make a buck, Lower East Side Jazz Hall of Fame. And I heard the greats, but I was amazed that the songs remained the same. So I kicked New York like an old bad habit, and I moved out to L.A. So here's a shot from us to you, and it's what we're gonna play. And I'll play the line, and I'll tell you tonight, got to get out of New York. And I'll tell you tonight, ain't no one but surprise, got to get out of New York. Hey!
The comedy of Jeff Altman, and still to come our Flick of the Night, and more music from Tom Scott and Lee Ving.
Great acts that you've played with. You know, Tom is known as the sax man in the business, the side man, the first call guy that they're all looking for.
Well, one of the guys, one of the cats.
And how did you two get together? This is a bit of culture shock to see Tom and Lee together.
The 3rd Street Mission, that's where we met down there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you were making the soup and...
No, actually, John Belushi introduced us a couple of years ago. John was a big fan of Lee's band, Fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to make of Lee when I first met him, quite frankly.
I had all his hubcaps in my trucks.
Yeah. Well, which side did you approach him on? Did you approach Lee on the side that shows the tattoo of the knife through the skull? Or did you... What have you got on the other side there, Lee? I think that's, depending on where you meet Lee, makes a difference.
That says Harley Davidson. Can you close up on that? Sure you can.
So there's a transportation motif on one side here, and a killer motif on the other. And the truth is somewhere in the middle. So you guys were introduced to each other.
Yeah, we worked on a soundtrack to Neighbors, to John's film, which eventually came not to be used. But we hooked up over that and did other projects since then.
The film work you're doing now, you've done Stir Crazy, worked on that track?
Well, Lee and I also collaborated on a song from the movie Going Berserk, with John Candy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Collaborated meaning you're writing together also?
yeah. We're writing songs together. It's a interesting match, you know, him and I, a jazz guy and a whatever you are. What are you?
How would you categorize yourself, Lee? Is it do you call it punk, new wave? What?
Not new wave. I wouldn't call anything that unless I really didn't like it.
Whoa.
What
Just kidding.
Is there a statement or a position that you take as a punker, for instance? What is it that you are saying to people? What is the message?
More beer.
More beer is simple enough. This prop almost looks as though it is making some statement for all of punkdom, isn't it? This something you might want to use in the act. Parents, grandparents are sometimes intimidated, afraid of what it is they perceive their children and grandchildren to be listening to in music today, and what is happening through the lyrics, and they will be intimidated by your look, for instance, Lee. How do you respond to that? Should they be?
What's the matter? Don't you like Ivy League?
So you're just a regular kind of one of the guys. But there's a difference in the look between the two of you. What was your own background in school? Were you did you finish school? Did you?
Yeah, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Would you have been called a street tough kid, Lee, or is that just a look that you have, that those rings on your finger look like they could take out somebody's eyes at 50 paces?
That depends on who you ask.
And whether you say please or not. What about the Rick Springfield film that you worked?
Well, yeah, I just completed the soundtrack to the new Rick Springfield movie, which will be out early next year, called Hard to Hold. And well, we just completed an album. We're doing a concert actually next Friday night with a real fine band. Richard T. will be playing piano. A lot of fine, jazz fusion musicians, and Lee Ving, and
Where is that,
it's the
Tom?
Beverly Theater.
Oh yes.
Remember?
You'll be driving.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll pick up Lee and you'll go somewhere together. You're gonna do some music, pardon me, right after this commercial. It is fun to see you guys together, and it is great fun to hear you together. It's a wonderful fusion. You'll hear more of it after this. Well, that's about all the time we have for this Friday night. I hope you're gonna have a real fun weekend. Want to thank all the folks who are with us tonight. Thank you. Jackie Zeman, whose laundry is all done. Thanks, Don. Remember, if you play the radio loud enough, the police won't know you don't have a muffler. You be good to each other. We're back Monday and all next week, okay? See you then. Boys are going to be jamming for you these last few minutes. Listen to a couple more commercials and then listen to Lee and Tom Scott. Thank you, folks. See you next time.
Think of the Night, starring Alan Thicke, has been brought to you by New Planters King-Size Corn Chips. Now, if you thought you could never say no to those corn chips you've been buying, just wait till you see what America's saying about New Planters King-Size Corn Chips. Promotional consideration provided by